Hi, I'm Jeff, and welcome to another one of my videos where I take a look at all the new comic books coming out on either April 12th or 13th, 2022. And I ask myself the question, what one new comic book would I buy this week if I could buy just one book? Let's jump right into the content of this video first by looking back at my pick from 2 weeks ago, which was Something is Killing the Children, issue number 21. And the question remains, was it a worthy and worthwhile pick to be my just one book pick of the week? And the answer is yes. Yeah, it was good. I liked it. It didn't blow me away. You know, the bar is already so high for me with Something is Killing the Children that unless I have a, oh, whoa reaction to it, it's just like okay and solid and fine. And that's exactly what this issue was. It had a significant lack of what makes Something is Killing the Children great, which is Erica Slaughter. But that being said, that's because they're setting up a new narrative, a new group of people that Erica's going to be interacting with. So the focus was on that new group of people. The new people seem interesting. The new female character seems like one that we're going to be seeing a lot more of, and I'm interested to find out more about. So the setup for this new storyline was great. Did have a bunch of first appearances in it, but once again, as I mentioned in my original video talking about this, nobody missed that this book was coming out. Nobody didn't know that there were going to be first appearances in there. Lots of people bought this book. There's tons of copies out there. So it will hurt the spec in the long term, but I do think that there probably is some solid spec there. So I hope you at least got yourself a copy. And if you did, and you read it, and you enjoyed it, let me know down in the comments what you thought of it. And if you didn't like it, let me know that as well. Also, I just want to mention my runner-up from 2 weeks ago was The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 93 with the first appearance of Chasm. So I read that as well. That was entertaining and I enjoyed it. I got 2 copies of the Gleason variant right here. That's the one I would definitely recommend for you. I'm sending one off to CGC. Once again, do I think there's a ton of spec there? No, but it's cool. I kind of like the idea, and I'm personally interested in seeing where that story and that character are going. All right, let's go ahead and move forward and take a look at the books that are coming out this week. As always, I have my 5 honorable mentions, and then I have my just one book pick for the week. My first honorable mention this week is Image 30th Anniversary Anthology, issue number 1 of 12 from Image Comics. Here's the description. Series premiere. Celebrate the 30th anniversary of the first Image comic with a year-long parade of all new stories from some of the biggest and best names in comics. Featuring a combination of ongoing serials and standalone short stories, this inaugural issue kicks off with the first chapters of 2 12-part stories, The Blizzard by Geoff Johns and Andrea Moody, and Red Stitches by Brendan Fletcher and Erica Henderson, plus the opening installments of a trio of 3-parters, Gospel for a New Century by Wyatt Kennedy and Luana Vecchio, Loop/Hopeless by Mirka Andolfo, and Shift by Kyle Higgins and Danielle De Niculo. Plus, a first look at Declan Shalvey's upcoming Old Dog series and an original ongoing comic strip by Scotty Young. Okay, if you're a big, gigantic Image fan, or if any of these names that I just mentioned are really exciting for you, these are reasons to pick up this book. Other than that, I'm only mentioning this book because I could see Image and these creators dropping little key things into these stories. There's going to be 12 issues for this 30th anniversary celebration, and I bet you most of them are going to not have much to speak of, but there may be 1 or 2 instances over the next year that are worth paying attention to. So I just want to let you know that this series is out there, and just kind of sort of keep your ear to it to see just in case they pop anything interesting from it. The next book I want to mention to you is Elektra, issue number 100 from Marvel Comics. Here's the description. Elektra has been many things, a pawn, a pariah, and even a provocateur. But through it all, she has been one thing above all others, the most dangerous human being in the Marvel Universe. Everything that has happened in her long and storied life has been leading to this, the 100th issue bearing her name, and the starting point of what is to come. Okay, I've mentioned this before, Elektra's rad. I am not particularly like a huge Elektra fan. I don't necessarily run out to buy Elektra-themed stories, but I would not argue against her being awesome for a moment. And I love that Marvel's going to give her the title of the most dangerous human being in the Marvel Universe. So I think that this is a cool book. For the Elektra fan. I think it's a must-have for the Elektra fan. And for someone who isn't a huge Elektra fan, I'm interested. Like, as always, I'm really trying to say no to comic books as much as possible. But they're calling this the starting point of what is to come for this character. And that makes it particularly interesting to me, because I do think the character is awesome, and I think that this might be a fantastic opportunity to jump on. So I'm thinking about this book for myself. I would definitely recommend it for all of you if you're Elektra curious. The next book I want to mention to you is Breakout, issue number 1 of a 4-issue limited series from Dark Horse Comics. Here's the description. When massive cube spaceships from another dimension materialize over our cities and routinely abduct teenagers to be held inside their mysterious floating prisons, Liam Watt's younger brother, Tommy, is taken. But while governments and adults across the world accept this loss as inevitable, Liam refuses to give up hope. Now, in a Take Back Our Future anthem, Liam assembles a skilled team of ordinary high school students to risk it all. But can they pull off the impossible and succeed in an out-of-this-world prison break? Join the crew and unlock a sci-fi adventure like no other, written by rising comics star Zach Kaplan, with kinetic art buzzing with life, drawn by Wilton Santos, and colored by Jason Wordie. Okay, you know what? This sounds interesting to me. A story about teenagers who get abducted. Why? We don't know yet. I'm sure that will be revealed by aliens. And the people of the planet Earth are kind of like, well, what are you going to do? You know, we can't stop it, so we're not going to do anything. And the teenagers, this group of teenagers at least, are like, unacceptable. We're going to do something about it. So it's interesting to see what this group of teenagers is going to do to solve a problem of other teenagers being abducted by aliens when the rest of the world has basically just chalked it up as a loss. I think that this could be really inventive and entertaining storytelling. And worth checking out. Once again, I'm trying to say no to stuff. If I wasn't saying no to so much stuff, I would absolutely pick up this book this week and see what it's all about. So if you're a little bit more lenient in your requirements of how many new books to try out and how many books you're ordering already, this sounds like it could be a cool story, so I'd recommend checking it out. The next book I want to mention to you, we're going to get kind of into a bit of a horror category for the rest of the video today. This next book is A Town Called Terror, issue number 1 from Image Comics. Here's the description. A Message from Home is the title. Part 1. Henry West is brutally kidnapped in the middle of the night while his wife Julie watches, terrified. Henry awakens to the reality of his whereabouts, but Julie, with no evidence of the phantom crime, is unable to get help to search for him. a new series from the minds of cutting-edge horror creators Steve Niles and Szymon Kudranski. I think I did a decent job pronouncing that. Okay, you want some just straight up horror? Here you go. It's also kind of interesting that somebody gets, so it looks like you're gonna have two stories. The story of the person who gets kidnapped, who basically kind of wakes up in a situation that they don't want to be in, and then the wife who's like, isn't able to be like, I need help. Doesn't have enough information to get some assistance. So it could be entertaining. It could be fun. This is kind of another week where it's not like the best week ever. So that's why I have kind of books like this that don't necessarily jump off the description page for me. But this one does sound like it could be interesting if you're looking for a dose of traditional horror this week. This might be something worth picking up. The next book I want to mention to you is Vanity, issue number 1 from Black Caravan. Here's the description. Every great legend has a beginning, and horror stories are no different. However, our tale, as it is based on a true story, begins at the very end. The legendary Blood Countess Elizabeth Bathory is dead, and gravediggers are assigned to relocate her corpse. But who was she really? Was she a monster or a victim? Here, we witness Elizabeth's birth and childhood and see the earliest moments of her life through her eyes. This includes her first encounter with death and blood that awakens the beasts that lurk in her innocent yet twisted mind. With an introduction by Vampire the Masquerade's Mark Rain Hagen. Okay, so once again we are in horror territory here, and this one sounds a little bit more interesting to me than the previous one that I just mentioned, but it does sound like it could be pretty entertaining. I kind of like stories that begin at the end where you know the eventual end of the story. Oh boy. But what it does is it makes you think the whole time, well, what did it take for us to get to this point? And sometimes that can make the story that much more interesting. So that kind of makes this one a little bit more interesting to me, because I know that we begin with them moving her corpse around. So how did she die? What was she all about? Why did they feel the need to move her corpse? It could be an interesting one. It could be an interesting story. Once again, if you're looking for some horror-themed reading this week, you have some options to choose from, and Vanity is one of them. All right, we're going to move on now to my just one book pick of the week. Before I do, I want to mention I'm not buying any of the books that I just mentioned to you. I am buying 3 books this week. One of them is my just one book pick of the week, which we'll get to in just a moment. The other 2 books I am buying this week are Last Flight Out, issue number 6. This is the last issue of Last Flight Out. It's been an interesting story. Would I recommend that you go out and run out and pick up issue number 6? Absolutely not. Would I recommend running out and picking up the trade when that comes out? Maybe. It was a good story. I don't know why I started picking this one up when I say no to so much, but I'm finishing it. This is the last issue. I've enjoyed it, so I can't complain, but I don't necessarily recommend it for other people, but it's good. It's good. I'm also picking up Star Wars, issue number 22. Star Wars is just a book that you should keep your eye on. I've heard a rumor that Star Wars issue number 25, that Charles Soule, who writes Star Wars and does a lot of Star Wars themed stuff, said to keep your eye out for Star Wars issue number 25. So we'll probably be talking about that again in a few months. But there's also the possibility that other things are going to be happening in the Star Wars title between now and then. So maybe consider keeping your ears open as far as Star Wars is concerned. And specifically with this one, Star Wars issue number 22. Nothing definitive to report, but once again, just keep your eyes and ears open. So that brings us to the one book that I would buy this week if I could buy just one book. And that book is The Sandman Universe, Nightmare Country, issue number 1 from DC Black Label. Here's the description. Sometimes nightmares walk the earth. Every night when you sleep, the Lord of Dreams chooses the path you'll follow, into a Sylvan Elysium or down the hallways of your darkest fears. And sometimes, if it is Dream's will, those nightmares escape those halls and go out into the world. But it is not a choice he makes lightly. Today, the Corinthian walks the earth again, the most feared of all Dream's nightmares. His ravenous mouths have made him a legend among serial killers. Letting the Corinthian out among mortals is the most dangerous thing Dream could possibly do, but he has no choice, because there is another nightmare walking the earth, one that must be hunted. And this monster is one that Dream, Lord of all nightmares, did not make. Horror comics superstar James Tynion IV has waited his whole career to pay tribute to the mythos of the Sandman, the work that made him the writer he is today, and that time has come. Designed to welcome new readers into one of the greatest worlds in DC's library, the Sandman Universe Nightmare Country is a terrifying travelogue through a nation recognizable and obscene, which will show you things seen in no Sandman series ever before, with spectacular art by Alessandro Esterin and nightmare sequences by Comics Art All-Stars, starting with the incredible Yannick Paquette. Okay, that very long description basically told you everything you need to know. There's not much for me to elaborate on here. I will point out to those of you that already know these videos, I don't need to point it out, but I will point out to those who might not have seen these videos before, I am a huge James Tynion IV fan. He is my favorite comic book writer. He is amazing. So anything he does, I am all over. But I do take everything with a grain of salt. I judge everything on its merit. I don't like it just because it's from James Tynion IV, but I will definitely check it out because it's from James Tynion IV. So check back in 2 weeks from now to see what my thoughts were on the Sandman Universe Nightmare Country. But this is exciting to me in general as well. And not because I'm a Sandman fan. I have never read a proper Sandman comic book. I understand that it's revered and critically acclaimed. It's supposed to be fantastic stories and art, and I've always been interested in checking it out. It's just one of those titles that I've never gotten around to. So I'm excited to start checking out that world through James Tynion IV and in this title. And this title promises to be a good entry point for people like me who know little to nothing about the Sandman universe. So I don't have to worry about reading this and being like, I don't know what's going on here because I am not familiar with this title. They're structuring it in a way that people like me who don't know the title can still get up to speed quickly. The other thing is that, well, I go back to James Tynion IV. James Tynion IV was out on superhero comics. He was out of DC. He was ready to do nothing but creator-owned titles. Then an editor at DC contacted him and said, I know you're out, but would you be interested in working on a Sandman book? And James Tynion IV is a massive Sandman fan, and he couldn't say no. As much as he wanted out of working on other people's creations, he wanted to create his own stuff, he could not say no to this. And that enthusiasm for the universe that he is going to be playing in is another reason that I'm excited about this title. That he is such a Sandman universe fan and such a fantastic writer that he would have the opportunity to really do something that you know he loves I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's going to do with it, that he's going to take all the passion that he has for comic books and for writing and for these characters and for this universe and to put it on these pages. I am excited to see what comes out of it. So for all of these reasons, that is why the Sandman Universe Nightmare Country is my just one book pick for this week. All right, as always, let me know down in the comments what you think about the books that I mentioned on this list, what you think about my just one book pick of the week. Let me know if there are other books that are coming out this week that you are excited about that maybe I should have talked about. I'd be interested to hear what you have to say down in the comments. As always, there's about 12 of you that consistently hit the like button. Thank you to all 12 of you who do that. I really appreciate it. Let's see if we can't get the likes to 13 this week. So I invite you to hit the like button right now. And then as always, if you haven't subscribed, I invite you to subscribe. And make sure you hit that notification bell. There's a lot of CGC submissions and I'm waiting to come back, so I'm looking forward to making Test Your Comic Book Rating Skills videos once again. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.